what they did, what your source of the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, definitely going to cover one of the crazier stories I covered in a while, all about a husband and father who ultimately turns his wife, now ex-wife, into a side piece after she crossed him too far. And let me entertaining one to go over in a situation where truth is stranger than fiction, and also, again, what happens when a man just is pushed too far, like I said. Now, as you can see, this is a longer story, so I'm not going to waste too much time revealing too much, so I'm going to jump right into it. But before I do, again, I've been saying all week, if you guys are on X, formerly Twitter, definitely come over and join SSM Channels. The community over there is growing. We're having a lot of fun over there, and definitely will help me out. So definitely check it out. So he starts off here. It says here, my name for the story will be Sean, and I was 39 years old at the time. My wife, Gia, was 34. We've been married for about 10 years with a boy 9 years old and a girl 7. Things have not always been smooth sailing, and intimacy had reduced from about 2 to 3 times a week at the start to once every 2 to 3 and getting worse. Okay, so yeah, that's a big jump. My tries for intimacy have been repeatedly rejected for about 6 weeks, and I basically given up and stopped asking anymore. Well, you don't really ask, you try to seduce, but I guess you've been married a long time with kids. It's more like, okay, kids are going to be coming home from school soon. Quick, let's go for it. It wasn't so much outright no's, but promises or hints that we never kept. Then one night, a couple weeks after I stopped asking, and after an extremely hard physical day, she tried to initiate, but I gently said no, as I was too tired. Well, she blew up at me and carried on yelling and screaming at me for hours. How dare I reject her? Well, you should have walked or told her to get the freak out, because that's unacceptable. She's been rejecting you. It says here, and she claimed that I said no to spite her. I was saying no for revenge, or she was only doing it for me, etc., etc. I was stumped at her outburst and tried to explain I was just too tired and had nothing to do with her, but it all fell on deaf ears. So eventually I turned over and immediately went to sleep while she remained crying over the whole thing, as well as carrying on about it. Yeah, this is a match made in heaven. This is wonderful, huh? I'm not sure how long she kept at it, but I was fast asleep. The next morning, she refused to talk to me at all, and for the next 2 weeks, she never said one single word to me, and started going to bed before the end of shows or movies, then pretend to be asleep when I walked in a few minutes later. She rejected my advances again and again. So the silent treatment and passive aggression and all this round and round we go. This is not good. I don't know what things were like beforehand, but seriously, come on, man. I mean, if it's this bad, it's time to really wrap things up. Again, if she's unwilling to communicate and talk, and I'd like to know what it was like before. After about 2 weeks, I had enough and stopped talking to her as well. Oh, wonderful. And the kids are in the middle of all this shit. I stopped touching her and going so far as placing something before her, or letting her handle things, and started going camping and events every weekend, sometimes taking the kids, sometimes on my own, but never indicating where I was going unless she overheard and asked the kids if they wanted to go. So they're not talking to each other. This is just a stupid way to go about things. And you can see where it comes to an end. She had some friends who spied on me for her, but I was still loyal. At home most of the time, she only fed the kids and herself, so I started eating the baked beans and other cans of food and stuff that we had stored, and I bought food on the way home. I started staying up until she had gone to bed before clicking on a favorite website and took care of my needs, and realized after a couple months I was quite happy looking after myself and was quite content. Doesn't sound ideal to me, man. Now, obviously, this is a stand-in for the kids situation, but mom and dad are miserable. I bought a 3-seater, 4-wheel drive, so only myself and the kids could fit. If we went to family events, I mostly took my car enough, but sometimes we took her car so we could all fit. After about 3 months, not a single word between us, she realized I was not going to be the one to give in on this standoff. I did not need her for anything at all, and the lack of intimacy was not worrying me in the slightest, as I guess she must have spied on me after she had gone to bed and realized intimacy was no longer a weapon that she could use against me. Well, that's always the weapon they use against you. You got your kids out of it, at least I assume they're your kids. This is a freaking mess. This is the point. It's like, you're not going to talk to me. We're not talking to each other. Come on here. We're not working things out. It's time for an exit strategy here. This is a freaking mess. And obviously this has been wearing down for a while here. One night, we watched a steamy movie, and then she waited up long, and after her usual bedtime, until I gave up waiting for her to go to bed, and then after I went to bed horny, she came in and took matters into her own hand and initiated. She said a quiet sorry and went above and beyond to pleasure me, and the 5 months war was over. Just like that. Battle of wills. This is ridiculous. Nothing was ever said about it. Intimacy went back to a couple times a week and went straight back to being a loving couple who both initiated, although I kept up my camping and went to weekend events away with friends. This is ridiculous. You may think that's the end of that, but you're wrong. Yeah, I know, because we got a lot to read here. After about a year later, I sat her down and nicely explained that I noticed we were only being intimate about once a month lately, and I was getting quite frustrated. She stood up, yelled at me, and said, "I don't owe you sex," and she stormed out. Well, okay, fine, I don't owe you a paycheck. She rejected my next couple of advances, but this time I was not wanting to go through the whole crap all over again, and stopped any talk of intimacy, but otherwise carried on as if nothing happened. I had a new plan. I did not want to be away from the kids. Here we go. Better to be married and miserable than divorced in this guy's eyes. I could not afford to pay this mortgage as well as another place. I wasn't interested in going back to the dating pool. The first steps were to open a new bank account with a debit card, and I used all our savings to pay off all the credit cards and canceled the cards. I found out how much child support was and made the debits to pay half the mortgage, half the electricity, and the child support directly to our joint account. I sent an email to work requesting my pay go to a new account. Then I set up about removing myself from the marriage. The garage was my man cave, and I joined the kitchen, with a short hallway with a shower, toilet, and laundry in it. So in other words, it sounds like you're getting divorced, but you're not getting divorced, at least right now. And you're moving into the garage, turning into the man cave, staying under the same roof, but, The shower and toilet were never used, as we all used the main bathroom, which had a bath in it as well as a larger shower and toilet, so I decided to fit a new laundry sink in there and a new washer and dryer combo to the huge walk-in pantry behind the kitchen. Oh my God. I get you don't want to go through the divorce. I get you want to be with your kids. I get you don't have to pay 2 mortgages and everything, but there's got to be another option here. Figure out a way. Gia was quite pleased when the new sink, washer, and dryer were delivered and told me I deserved a reward for being a great husband, but I told her it's not installed yet and I walked away. The next weekend when Gia and the kids went to a family event, I installed the new sink and taps and plumbed it in the old laundry beside the pantry, then plumbed out an old kitchen sink and tapped into the garage on the other side of the laundry. I was pretty much set. I covered the garage sink and set about building a new bench beside the new old sink with a small plug in an oven/stove and a drop-down shelf that I mounted several tools on so it looked like just a tool holder, but was actually a drop-down single bed. Sounds like maybe a Murphy bed, the ones that come out of the walls. The hallway entrance into the kitchen was an old doorway, so I dug the old door out of the junk in the shed and reinstalled it by adding a deadlock. Reinstalled by adding a deadlock. Bear with me with his writing here, guys. I took my old trophies and personal items out of the living room and put them on some new shelves in the garage that converted an old tool locker into a wardrobe and removed all but a few items of clothing from our bedroom, and I was all set to go. Now the waiting began. Meanwhile, your kids are probably like, "What the hell, Dad? What's going on here?" Well, when the family arrived home Sunday afternoon, I got a roast going and the new dryer and washer operating fine. I moved all the laundry stuff into the new pantry area with all the linen neatly stacked into the usual or the unused shelving. Gia kissed me and gave me a little rub to show that I was on a promise, but I knew that would most likely be an empty promise. When we went to bed, I cuddled up and initiated, but she sighed and rolled her eyes and said, "Is that all you think of me?" and turned away. Oh, for God's sakes. Thought you moved into the garage. I stood up, walked around to the other side of the bed, and faced her. I spoke calmly, telling her that I was sick of all her empty promises, sick of her hints, and tomorrow night for sure statements. She interrupted and yelled, "I don't owe you sex, and we will do it when I want to do it," glaring at me as she did so. I calmly and quietly said, "And I do not want to have sex with someone who does not want me, and I'm sick of being constantly frustrated and disappointed, so I will not be having sex with you ever again." She's thinking, yeah, sure. She scoffed, "Yeah, right," but looked at me surprised when I grabbed the remaining few clothes out of the wardrobe and noticed it was now bare. I walked out of the room and she followed me with a, "Wait, where are you going?" She stepped around me and stopped me, and then saw in her eyes. I saw them widen as she noticed the bare shelves where my trophies and cameras used to be. She says, "Wait, you can't leave. What about the kids? What will everyone say? Come back to bed and I'll make it up to you." Oh, imagine that. When you're ready to walk away, all of a sudden she's on her best behavior. What I told you a million times, guys. The most powerful thing is walking away and letting her know she crosses you, you're out of there. She blurted that all out in a panic rush, tears now flowing freely. Hobag Handbook Chapter 2. I looked at her and told her I do not want to have SCX with someone who does not want me, and I stepped around her and walked through the kitchen. She followed me, promising to change and telling me she loved me and did want me, blah, blah, blah. But when I closed the new hallway door, in her face, she was stunned into silence. Yeah, she wasn't expecting that. It took a few minutes before she realized I had not left the garage, and she started knocking, pleading, banging, sobbing, begging, etc. Gone was the haughty demeanor and angry words, but I expected them to come back shortly. Oh, I guarantee you they're coming back. Surprisingly, they never came, and I pulled down my new bed and slept with a newfound contentment. The next morning, I opened the kitchen door to go wake the kids, and she fell through the doorway. She had slept huddled up against the door. What, like a freaking dog? I said good morning and stepped over her, noticing the tear streaks, red-rimmed eyes, and messed-up hair, and said, "You look like shit." Yeah, I'm sure she loved that. Through bleary eyes, she croaked, "I do want you, I really do. I've made a huge mistake." Of course she says that. "I need you, the kids need you." Then she did something totally unexpected. She peeled off the long t-shirt she used as a night dress and stood naked before me. "Please take me to bed. I'll do anything if you ever wanted to try." I really hope the kids aren't walking out to have their fucking Cheerios and Lucky Charms and mom's there doing this whole thing here. She's losing it. And before any of you guys, this is bullshit, guys. When women are panicking and losing it, yeah. Just then, the kids appeared around the corner into the kitchen. "Oh, great, this is going to go well," and looked shocked, and turned around and ran away. Gia looked imploringly at me, but I just told her promises were the same as last time, and they were worthless. I went to talk to the kids, and that's another story. After all that mess, I went to the kitchen and started to pour the kids some cereal when the door opened, and Gia's best friend Samantha and her 10-year-old son strolled in like they did every single morning. I'm assuming she's dressed at this point. Then they spotted Gia's tired and worn face, the kids clinging to her and looking back forward, trying to tell us and figure out what was going on. Okay. Samantha, her friend, was bi and had recently split up with another in a long list of short-term men and women she dated, a fact worth remembering. Oh, how interesting. Samantha, and she's bi. She was a very honest, blunt, and truthful person, so she just blurted out, "What was wrong? You guys look like shit." "He's leaving me," my wife said. And I sighed and said, "I'm not leaving the house, just the marriage." Samantha looked at Gia and asked her if it was over the whole sexless marriage thing, but I stated this was not a conversation we should be having in front of the kids, you think? And so her friend knows they're not hooking up. Samantha then took out her phone and rang our work. Our work? You work with her? We all worked at the same factory, but in different departments. So everyone knew we were lifelong friends. She told them we had all eaten something bad and we're all sick and we would not be coming in today. Well, one could argue that based on how you're all acting. "Go and have a shower, I'll drop the kids at school and come back and we can sort this thing out," said Samantha. As soon as they were out the door, Gia implored me to come back to bed so we can fix this. That's her way of fixing the marriage through sex. You can see this as her bargaining chip for everything. As soon as they were out the door, Gia implored me to come. I read that part. I just told her if she wanted SCX, she should go get it from her boyfriend. Her head whipped around in shock so fast, I thought her head would fall off. "What?" she said. "I never cheated. I never have been with another man aside from you, and the very thought of another man touching me disgusts me in a way you can never comprehend." Well, if she's not getting it from you, she's getting it someplace else. Or maybe she likes girls. She said it with such conviction, I was convinced she was telling the truth. "Well, perhaps you better find someone who, because of you and I, are done. You don't understand. You're the only man I've ever allowed to touch me. I love you and you," said Gia. I scoffed at that, and I said, "What about your previous boyfriend, Sam, then?" She looked confused for a second. The only other person I had been with, Samantha, when we were teenagers. Now it was my turn to look confused. Gia picked up her t-shirt and padded off to the shower. When Samantha arrived back, I was still sitting at the table with more questions than ever. Sam, tell me about you two, I said. Ah, Sam, Samantha, long-term friends. Oh, and Samantha's bi. Start connecting the dots here. Samantha just said, nobody has called me Sam since we were in school before that boy Sam arrived, so everyone called me Samantha from then on in. Gia walked back in and sat at the end of the table, quietly just watching us talk. It says here, we have told you about us when we first started dating Gia. We were lovers for a year or two, but she started to get turned off by me, and we just stopped. Gia has been the only person I ever truly loved, and I just can't seem to stay in a relationship for very long, so it's mainly between just about the sex for me. Well, funny how this dude's wife clearly didn't mention that before they got together, that she was having a girl-on-girl relationship with this female best friend. And I mean to believe this hasn't happened since. Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. I turned to Gia and asked her if she was getting turned off by me because she's starting to be turned on by Samantha again. Well, that might explain some of the, lack of sex. Well, a whole range of emotions flitted across Gia's face as she pondered my question. Maybe that's what happened, she said. I've always loved Samantha, but I fell in love with you, and now both of you are sort of equal. No, there's either one of us, and this is just not working. Gia then explained to Samantha what had happened between us then, and I told myself the story. Gia then surprised by blurting out, Samantha, would you still screw Sean? What? Yeah, again, back to the sex being transactional here. Now, we can all see here that Gia doesn't love this guy. Does what she has to do to obviously put on the show for marriage and kids and all that. And now she doesn't want him to leave so much that she's now talking about three-ways and stuff. Oh boy. She says in an instant, if he wasn't married to my best friend, she replied. This guy's like, what? Gia spoke again, making it up as she went through her thought process. How about the three of us get together then? Samantha loves SCX, but does not want a relationship. Sean wants SCX with someone who wants him back. I love both of you, but want less sex, so this should solve all our problems, she enthused. This is a terrible idea, and even though this seems very far-fetched and hard to believe, crazier things have happened, so okay. He says to her, you seem to forget that I'm done with you. I don't want sex with you. I don't want a relationship with you. I'm only staying for the kids. I stated feeling quite exasperated. Samantha spoke up to Gia and said, I'm sure I could have a lot of fun with him, but he's married, and I still love you, but I know how Sean feels, and I'm not sure if I could be in a relationship with you again. Well, I don't think anybody wants to be in a relationship with Gia. She's a giant pain in the ass. Gia looked very disappointed at each of us. My marriage is over, so there's nothing stopping either of you, and perhaps we could all still remain friends. Yeah, define friends. Samantha grinned, fuck yeah, no commitment. I've always wanted to bang you, so how about we make use of today's off, and you show me about this bachelor pad of yours. Okay. We walked into my garage, closing the door behind us. Do you feel as guilty as I do about leaving her there alone, I asked. Hell no, I've been warning her for a couple of years that if she kept this attitude up, she would lose you. Well, she did. Sam and the kids spent a lot of time in my man cave. Gia was never allowed in, and I cooked for myself, did my own laundry, and only went in the house to hang out with the kids. So we're fast forwarding in time. Now you're having fun with her, and I guess Sam is having fun with your ex. Gia continued to try and get me back, but I was not interested, so it was fairly awkward between us. Sam has a way of cutting through all the bullshit and helped me be comfortable around each other. She remained Gia's friend and my frequent lover, but seemed to have lost interest in dating. So you're still living in the garage, not your man cave, so you can be there for the kids, not have to go through the miserable divorce and get screwed in the divorce. You're hooking up with Samantha, and I'm guessing probably Gia and Samantha are having fun too. This is a terrible idea. End it. You know how much it's going to screw up things for the kids unless you're doing this all behind the scenes? And guess what? Kids aren't dumb and probably notice this. But then again, Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. Well, now to an update here. He says, well, it's been 3 years since that day. Oh, boy. Sam and I are married now. You married her? Smack. You got divorced, but I guess this is a terrible idea, man. It was a big surprise to us as it was to everyone. Yeah, to me too. Sam is pregnant with our first child. Oh my God. Samantha has reverted back to Sam after we got together. We all put in and bought a 4-bedroom house with a granny flat. Gia does not seem interested in dating. Gia lives in there on her own, although Sam's son often spends weekends there, as he seems to have bonded with me more than he has with anybody else. It'll probably work out very well when the baby arrives. Oh my God. All the jealousy disappeared one drunken night when we all shared a bed. It happened a couple times now, and both Sam and Gia have agreed for Gia to look after me during the pregnancy, but I'm still not so sure. Gia is very excited about it, though. Oh, so now Sam's pregnant with your kid. I hope it's your kid. And now you're back to sleeping with your now ex-wife. She's your side piece. Although this is funny and she got what she deserved, still this is a big freaking mess. The kids are doing great. Are you sure about that? I think the kids need probably therapy. Sam has no idea which one was the father that party night, so we told her the truth, and he is fine having me as his father. Nothing showed up on Ancestry DNA test. Between the three of us, we make a pretty good living and holiday together as often as we can and get time off, so we're all in a very happy extended family. The end to this fucked up story. Well, anyhow, guys, I told you this was screwed up. Definitely one of the crazy ones in a while. And, well, so I'm Gomorrah 2.0. And, bro, quite frankly, I think you are just inviting more and more drama into your life, and I can't begin to imagine what it's like for the kids. But certainly you and Gia being divorced about the only thing that makes sense in this whole situation. But you then buying a house for all of you. And I get you don't mess things up for the kids, but I hope there's other areas you're exceeding and good at with the kids. Otherwise, this is going to mess them up. But all these people and the players in this story are freaking wackos. But like I said, crazy shit has happened. Truth is stranger than fiction. But anyhow, I had to cover this one because it was sent to me, and holy crap, it's crazy. But anyhow, guys, in most situations, it gets that bad, just end it. But it is, I admit, funny when a guy makes his wife, who's turned to a complete asshole, walks away, and she wants him badly, into the side piece. So, anyhow, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you find a good story you want to share, definitely send it my way. strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.